Hello, I am Jen Hoffman from healthymoving.com. Thank you so much for joining me. I am back with another Q&A segment. This question today from someone who wishes to remain anonymous, you might discover why in just a second, is related to the health of the pelvic floor. But before I get to her question and my answer to it, let me just tell you that this applies to you not only if you have pelvic floor issues, but also if you ever have low back, sacroiliac joint pain, sciatic pain that kind of radiates down the leg, pubic symphysis pain, or any other pelvic low back pain. This is really the answer I'm going to give to this is really about supporting the health of this whole region, central pelvic region of the body. Okay, so the question is, I love jumping on the trampoline with my kids, but I leak every time I do it. Are there any exercises I can do to help with this issue? So let me give you a little bit of an anatomy lesson, and I have my trusty assistant here. This is Elvis the pelvis, who's going to help us with this. Just so that you can understand the approach, I always like to educate you on why we're doing something and give you some information that might help you see the ripple effect of this. So what's going on in your pelvic floor is really related to the alignment of your whole pelvis, of your pelvis as a whole. So let's look at what optimal pelvic alignment would look like. The front of your pelvis has a triangle that's formed by your ASIS, your anterior superior iliac spine, and your pubic bone. The triangle that's formed there, when you're standing or sitting, it should be in neutral, in the vertical plane. So that triangle is straight up and down when you're standing or sitting. If you were sitting, that would mean when you're sitting on the sit bones at the bottom, these two bony prominences. However, because of a lot of things, walking around mostly on flat surfaces, sitting a lot, wearing shoes with an elevated heel, all that stuff, a lot of us are in a position where the pubic bone is forward of the ASIS. So we're not in this position, but instead here. And that often means that when we're sitting on the sacrum. It means that the sacrum is pulled in toward the pubic bone in the pelvis. And that is what's really important to the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor runs from the back of the pelvis to the front of the pelvis. And let me give you a little bit of a little lesson on muscle function, is that a muscle is able to generate the most amount of force for the longest period of time, we call that endurance, when it is not in its most contracted position. So the pelvic floor is in its most contracted position when the sacrum and the pubic bone are pulled toward each other. So when the sacrum is pulled into the pelvis doesn't have the pelvic floor doesn't have a lot of endurance. That means it's not able to generate the lift that it needs to support the organs in the pelvic and abdominal cavity. That's when things like jumping on the trampoline become an issue, or exercising or sneezing or coughing or any of the other things that can sometimes lead to stress incontinence, because the pelvic floor just doesn't have the endurance to do that. So it happens to be that that's also when the sacrum is pulled in, that's also what can be responsible for sacroiliac joint pain, for the pain that can radiate down, sciatic pain. This position of the pelvis in this tucked position can create a whole host of issues for the hips, the low back, and everything around this area of the body. So yes, it's important for your pelvic floor to get to this alignment and to support the structures that get you here, but it's also important for really your whole body health as well, your core and everything else. So what are the exercises I recommend for helping to get back to here? Well, the first thing is, what's pulling you here? I like to look at that. That's usually tension in the psoas and the hip flexors that are kind of putting a pull in this direction. We want to release that pull. So I like to do psoas release, hip flexor stretches, that kind of stuff for that. The second thing is, what helps pull the sacrum away from the pubic bone and pull the sacrum puts a load on it this way, and that's the posterior chain, the glutes and the hamstrings. So when I'm giving people exercise work, we often start there. Release tension in the hip flexors and strengthen the posterior chain so that we can have this as our more normal alignment. And I love giving exercises for that. But there's something else that you need to consider, is what is going on in your everyday life that is creating that hip flexor tension and that posterior chain weakness. Because As much as I'm a huge advocate of rolling out your mat and doing some focused exercises, we also have to see, are you doing something all day that's undoing that work? So you want to be considering both of those things. Yes, do the exercises, but what are you doing all day? And one of the things is how you're standing. So I want to show you a simple test that you can use to change up the way you're standing that will support not just the health of your pelvic floor and your low back and your hips, but really your whole body health as well. Your feet, your knees, everything is supported by this. So let me show you that test and then I'll come back and close it up. Okay, so how you stand around all day could be creating weakness in the posterior chain and tension at the front. And we're gonna use a tool that pretty much everybody has now, a cell phone charger. So you want to grab your cell phone charger, hold it by the part that plugs into the phone so that the part that plugs into the wall, we're using it like a plumb line, the weighted end is down near the bottom. And then what you want to do is hold the side of your plumb line right at the middle of your pelvis, and then you want to see where the end goes. I'm putting myself in a less than ideal position to show you what is probably happening for you when you first try this. And that is that the weighted end is forward of the ankle, kind of near the top of the foot. This position is bringing us into that kind of tucked, pulling the sacrum into the pelvis position. Not great for any part of your body, but especially your pelvic floor, hips, and low back. So instead, we want to back the pelvis up. Now, this is going to require posterior strength in the glutes and in the hamstrings. So you might not be able to go all the way today to the end point that I'm going to show, which is to have the cell phone charger, have the legs be completely vertical and have the weighted end directly at the lateral malleoli, or that round ankle bone. That's where you want that when it's in the center of the pelvis, the weighted end to end up there. That puts you in a position to be strengthening the posterior chain, not adding extra tension here at the hip flexor, and really supporting your pelvic health. Obviously, you're not going to be carrying your cell phone charger with you everywhere, so a simple thing you can do as you play with your cell phone charger is feel where you feel the weight in your feet while you're doing it. When you're in the thrusted forward position that's less than ideal, you'll feel your weight at the top of your foot. As you start to get stronger in the posterior chain and can back the hips up, you'll feel the weight come more into your heels. So if you're standing in line at the grocery store, waiting for the elevator at work or something else, you'll just be able to check in, wait, where is my weight? Okay, I wanna be back in my heels, because that's gonna take you into that nice optimal pelvic alignment that we want to support your health. Okay, fun and simple, right? But you could feel the muscles working. If you love this work and you want me to support you more, I have a step-by-step protocol for doing both of these things. Building the strength and releasing the tension, and also figuring out what you're doing in your life and how you're moving and standing and working and playing with your family and taking care of your house and all that kind of stuff in a way that might be sabotaging the work that you're doing over here in my deep dive pelvic floor course. That course is comprehensive, step by step, walks you through stuff, has mat practices, but also has exercises that you can do in the middle of your daily life. A 2-hour workshop that you can watch either as a whole or in smaller segments to really help you understand this part of your body and how best to support your health in this part of your body through movement on the mat and in your everyday life. All the information for how you can access that is here with this video. Thank you so much. I love answering your questions in these Facebook videos. Feel free to send me an email with any questions you have about how movement can help you feel amazing in and about your body, jen@healthymoving.com. And if this helped you, if you know someone who it could help, absolutely, I appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much.